All right, $500 Accord. The $500 Accord, as you guys know, in one of the previous videos, we picked it up for 500 bucks. Well, we brought it home. It cranked, almost. It backfired, and it kind of sounded like it wanted to start, but no. We checked compression. There was no compression because obviously we found out that the timing belt was not moving. Sorry, all that noise is there's a cyclone going on the east, not on the east coast, but on the coast, and we're seeing some of it. It's a pretty nasty windstorm. Anyways, so that's the belt. That's how it came out. It's a brand new belt, brand new water pump. That's the new one that we're gonna put on. That's a Gates. This is not a cheap timing belt kit. It had the water pump, tensioner, timing belt, and another pulley that it comes with, or idler or whatever. So we thought it bent some valves. It didn't bend some valves. We checked. We looked at it with the bore scope, but we did find out the catalytic converters are really bad. The previous owner said the car was running good, and then he lost power, and then he wouldn't want to go, and then he said he hesitated to start back again, and then it didn't want to start. So with the symptoms that he gave us and he told us, we saw the timing belt was bad. We first thought it was a sensor or jump timing or something, but we took it all apart and we started, like I said, we found out that it didn't make compression. So I looked at it with the bore scope and we found out that some of the valves had touched the pistons, but that wasn't the issue. We took the heads, both of the heads, and we found out that as we removed the heads, we found out that the catalytic converters were really, really bad. I'll show you guys in the bore scope, and then now here this one's off. Had to peek at that one with the camera, with the bore scope, but now you guys can actually see how bad it is. Like, this thing is toast. That is not good. So I want to find out why it ripped the timing belt like that. And I've seen most of the times when that happens, it's because the engine is not turning well. So what caused the engine to not turn well? Then you start checking your rotating assembly, like the crank, obviously. The engine rotates fine. Then the cams, the front one rotated fine, but the back one didn't. And I removed the valve train, and the cams, they should spin really easy, like this one. This one doesn't have anything, and it spins really easy because it doesn't have the valve train or lifters, whatever you guys want to call them. But the back head didn't do that. The back head was really, you had to do it with the wrench, and it wouldn't want to go. So I thought maybe it couldn't have a bent valve because by this time the valves are not doing anything. Long story short, I knew something was wrong. Why would the timing belt rip just like that? At first I thought maybe the catalytic converters, too much compression, a lot of compression or pressure and compression, and the engine doesn't want to turn. But not really. I haven't seen that happen just yet. I think about blown head gasket or it would have fried a piston or something, or the rings. But it started making sense when the back one wouldn't want to turn, and when I took off the back one, this head is toast. You guys can see. And you guys can catch it right there. That journal is just toast all around, and it's just one, but that's all it takes. Yeah, it was just binding and it didn't want to go. So that's that head is no good. That's a bummer. The cam doesn't look that bad. You can see the cam doesn't look. Let's see if we focus. That's where it's riding on this one. But it doesn't look that bad. I mean, Not at all. It's got some, but not some scoring, but not a lot. So that was kind of weird. So I know exactly where there's an engine like this one. You guys remember that J35 that came out of that MDX? It's a J37 actually. It came out of that MDX from Ricardo. Most of the cylinder heads are all the same. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that head off, and I'm gonna shove that head in here. That's what I'm gonna do. Cylinder heads are all the same. The only thing that changes is the boring. And yeah, that's the only quick fix I have. I don't have any other head. I don't want to go to the junkyard and hunt one head down, so I'm gonna go ahead and use that one. I've used the J35s and the J32s, and they work fine. So I'm gonna try that J37 on a J30. I've done vice versa. I've done this heads on 3.5s. I've done the 3.0s on the 3.5s, and they work fine. So yeah, I'm gonna try that, and we'll get back to it. All right, so here's the dumpster, and this is where we pull the head out. Like I said, this is a J37, came out of that MDX, and these are the runners. I'm probably gonna take a picture of this one. I'm gonna screenshot this one or take a picture of this one, and then I'll show you guys the one I have at home so you guys can see what I'm talking about. The only thing you got to do is just use a J37 gasket, and everything will work. This particular engine, what failed was one of the spark plugs came out very with the threads, everything twisted aluminum, so the front head is bad. Luckily the back one was good, so we used the back one. It still has a lot of good stuff in it, like the valve covers. I'm gonna take this, the runners. What else? I mean, it's got more parts in it, but coils, it still has a coil packs in them too. There's that other runner. So yeah, all right, there you guys go. There's a $500 Accord. I keep saying Civic. There's a $500 Accord. It was sort of not a nightmare. Like I say, it's why I only work on cars that I know I have parts, or I can scatter parts around. Anyways, we went and we took that head off of the J37. We shoved it in this J30. Everything is the same. There's only one thing that changes, and that would be the runners. The runners on the J37, they're a little bit more here. They're more like filled here. So it's crazy. The J30s are more old. They're more rounder. So the J37s, you just gotta use the J37. You gotta use the J37 gasket. Once you use the J37 gasket, the manifolds are the same. They're a little bit off, but they're a little bit more on the J30s. They're a little bit more round, but you can still use them. Just use the J37 intake manifold gasket. Everything else is the same. Everything is the same. Use the J30 head gasket, because the J37, the boring obviously is more. It's a 90 millimeter bore on the J37s, and it's a 86 or 87